Welcome to my first video. I'm going to show you how to configure static IP address in PCs on network, and I'll also show you how to configure PCs to get IP address from a DHCP server. I'm going to configure a Cisco router to act as a DHCP server. So without much further ado, let's get into it. We're going to use Packet Tracer to do this lab. It will take a couple of seconds to load. If you do not have an account with Cisco, please go and log and sign up. You get an account, then you can download Packet Tracer. So here we're in Packet Tracer. We're gonna start by picking a laptop, a computer or a laptop, whichever you want to pick here. Then we're gonna pick a router. We're gonna use a 2911. And we're going to pick a switch for this lab. Then we're going to connect the PCs to, this is PC0, but we can give it a name that we want, but let's keep it that simple. Cable, straight through cable, fast Ethernet 0 to fast Ethernet 01. Cable, fast Ethernet 0 to fast Ethernet 2. Now we have connectivity between the PCs and the switch. Then we're going to connect the router to gigabit Ethernet 01. Now that we have managed to configure to connect our devices together, we go to the PC and we go to desktop, IP config, static. We're going to give it a 10.10 10 for example, then subnet mask /24 for example, just to show you how it should be configured. Then we have a default gateway, for example 10.10.10.1, and for example we have DNS server at 10.10.10.2. This is how we configure a static IP address on the PC. If we close this one and come to the PC again and go to commands, we can verify this using IP config all and say enter. So we can see that the PC has accepted this IP address of 10.10.10.10 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0 with a default gateway of 10.10.10.1 and a DNS server of 10.10.10.2. So this is how we configure the PC to have a static IP address. So we're gonna delete all this from PC, and we will configure the router to act as the DHCP server and assign these two PCs IP address as well as the default gateway and the DNS server. Okay, so we go to the router, then we go to command line interface. So here we're gonna select no because we want to configure the router. We go to enable to get into the privilege mode, and we go to configure terminal. You can say config T, but I'm gonna put the whole command and use the tab to complete the command so that you can see the whole command, but you can say config T for a shortcut. Then we go to IP DHCP excluded address from 10.10.10.1 to 10.10.10.100. Why we are reserving these IP addresses? We will want to use these reserved IP addresses for our servers, which we do not want to change IP address from time to time, so that when we want to remote log into the router using SSH or telnet, we are sure that we have those IP addresses reserved for static configuration of our servers and routers, so that they don't change whenever we want to log in. We wouldn't have connectivity if it would have changed the address that it has been assigned by the DHCP server. So now we have reserved IP address from range 10.10.10.1 to 10.10.10.100. So we press enter. Then we're gonna say IP DHCP pool. Then we're gonna give it a name, say for example reason. Then we're gonna put the network. So network is 10.10.10.0 255. That's a /24 255.0. We're gonna configure our default router. Default router is gonna be on 10.10.10.1. This IP address is not gonna change because it's within this excluded IP address, so it won't be in the DHCP server pool reason. Then we're gonna configure the DNS server. DNS server at 10.10.10.2. Okay, let's do right. We are copying the running configure to startup configuration so that we don't lose it whenever we reset or reboot or reload the router. So now that our router is configured to be a DHCP server, we're gonna check the interfaces connecting the router to the switch. You can see they're in red, meaning that there's no connectivity here. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do show IP address. Do show IP interface brief. You can see that all the interfaces are administratively down, which is the default for all the routers. And if you remember very well that we connected our router to gigabit Ethernet 00. So we're gonna go into its configuration, interface, gig. Okay, let me exit this so that you can see the whole command. I can say interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0, and we're gonna say IP address. We're gonna give it 10.10.10.1 255.255.255.0. Okay, but it is administratively down, so we need to configure it like no shutdown, and we get a syslog that tells us that on the interface gigabit we're going to change state to up, and you can see this connectivity starting to happen. So we are almost set with this one. We're gonna save the configurations, do right. So once it gets green, that means they have finished configure. We can fast forward this by pressing that and all gets green. Now we come to the PC. We want to configure it to use DHCP. So we're gonna change it from static to DHCP. Once we change it to DHCP, it should automatically get an IP address from 10.10.10.101 because we have reserved .1 to .100. So if you put DHCP here, wait for a couple of minutes, you can see it gets 10.10.10.101. If we come to this PC number 2, desktop, IP configurations, from static to DHCP 102. Amazing. If you want to test this configuration on the PC, we go to desktop and commands. Then, as you can see, previously it had 10.10.10.1, but now it has 10.10.100 from DHCP, and you will see the configuration here, DHCP server. You see its IP address. So we're gonna say IP config or, and now you can see it has 10.10.10.101, and it mentions the DHCP server and the default gateway, as well as the DNS server on 10.10.10.2. So from the PC or end device, we have verified that the DHCP is working. We're gonna go to the DHCP and just verify, though we know that it's working. We can say, okay, let's exit so that you see exactly what I'm trying to do here. Right, we can say show IP DHCP binding. Okay, press enter. From here we can tell that 10.10.10.10.101 with MAC address has been given an IP address and the type is automatic. Okay, as well as the .102. Okay, we can also say show DHCP pool. Remember when we configured the pool? Oh no, sorry. It's gonna be show IP DHCP pool. It's gonna tell us that the DHCP pool name is reason, and it's gonna show us 100 of 0. 254 total IP addresses. Number of leased IP addresses is 2. The excluded IP address is 1 that is already in use. And then we're gonna go and see the current, which is this one, from the range IP to 254. Number of leased IP address, the excluded, and total. Okay. You can also say IP. You can say show IP DHCP context sensitive out. Then you can check for conflicts if there are any conflicts. But these are the most important one. Okay, this has been a long video that I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.